Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you all and a very warm welcome to Government House, Yarralumla. My name is Mark Fraser. I'm the Governor-General's Official Secretary. As this badge around my neck signifies with its crossed quills, I also serve as the Secretary of the Council for the Order of Australia, who recommend appointments and awards in the Order's General Division to the Governor-General, who is Chancellor of the Order as well as Principal Knight of the Order of Australia. I would particularly like to acknowledge among our distinguished guests today the Honourable Dr Andrew Leigh MP, representing the Leader of the Opposition, Air Marshal Leo Davies, representing the Chief of Defence Force, Commodore Michelle Miller, representing Chief of Navy, Lieutenant Angus Campbell, Chief of Army, who is also here as a recipient today, the Honourable John Lloyd, Commissioner of the Australian Public Service, Ms Virginia Hayward, Acting Commissioner of ACT Emergency Services, Mr Philip Flood, President of the Order of Australia Association, and Mr Bruce Truotha, Chairman of the ACT branch of the Order of Australia Association. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a special day not only for recipients but for their families, friends and the community. It's a day when we celebrate a diverse range of achievement and service. As staff at Government House, my colleagues and I are privileged to play a small part in that recognition and celebration this afternoon. We hope we can make this an occasion that you will all recall with pride for a long time to come. Shortly, I'll invite you to stand as Their Excellencies enter the room. Please remain standing for the singing of the first verse of the National Anthem, and you are very welcome to join in. The words are on page 3 in your program, should you need them. The investiture will then begin and proceed in the order listed in your programs. After I read their names and citations, the recipients will enter the room from the doorway to my right, and after they have been invested, they will be leaving through the centre aisle, and it's at that point that you might like to show your appreciation with some short applause as they leave the room. They will then be reseated at the back of the room and be able to enjoy the rest of the investiture. At the conclusion of today's investiture, the Governor-General will address us, and then we will invite all recipients to join Their Excellencies on the state entrance steps for an official photograph. Could I please ask that other guests remain seated for a few moments whilst the photograph takes place, and then we'll invite you all to join Their Excellencies and our recipients for refreshments out on the lakeside lawn, weather permitting. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please relax and enjoy the occasion, and momentarily we will welcome Their Excellencies. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of Their Excellencies, the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia and Lady Cosgrove.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every state advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you. Please be seated. Your Excellency, to be presented with the insignia of his appointment as a companion in the General Division, the Right Honourable the Lord Mayor of Melbourne, Robert Doyle. For eminent service to the people of Melbourne through roles in local government, to the Parliament of Victoria, particularly in the areas of health and public administration, and to the community as a supporter of youth, social welfare and medical research foundations. Mr Doyle has enjoyed a remarkable career in the areas of politics and public service. He continues to lead the City of Melbourne with great enthusiasm and esteem. Mr Doyle has also served as a successful parliamentarian and leader of a range of not-for-profit organisations. He has been proactive in reinforcing the extraordinary fabric and culture that makes up the City of Melbourne. Mr Doyle's hard work and dedication remains an inspiration to the state of Victoria and to the nation as a whole. The Right Honourable, the Lord Mayor of Melbourne, Robert Doyle, appointed a Companion of the Order.
Good to see you again. Good afternoon.
Governor General, a pleasure to see you.
Well done. Look this way. Now, you don't get away unscathed, because I just wanted to refer to your very long history of public service. I mean, into the Parliament in 92, is
92?
It? Yep. And then in sundry appointments up until 06, then just a little break, and then Lord Mayor of the great City of Melbourne. But you're also, I think, either a member or chair of about 13 different organisations outside your mayoral duties, and you've been accoladed any number of times within Australia and also from overseas. So you are a most eminent Australian who just keeps charging ahead, and Melbourne's very lucky to have you as their Lord Mayor. Congratulations, Robert.
Thank you, Governor General.
Appointed a Companion in the General Division, Mr Peter Gago. For eminent service to the Australian wine industry as an internationally acclaimed winemaker, to the global promotion of excellence in enology, marketing and research, as a mentor, and to the community of South Australia. Mr Gago is one of the world's most influential figures in the wine industry. A Baron of the Barossa, he has worked arduously to uphold Australia's reputation as a producer of fine wines. He's a global ambassador for the industry, and the dedication he's shown from vineyard to winery has seen him receive numerous international awards for quality. Mr Gago's incredible talent and accomplishments as a winemaker are of the highest calibre and proudly showcase the very best our country has to offer. Mr Peter Gago, appointed a Companion of the Order.
Hello, Peter. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Well, you're a winemaker, but you're also a human dynamo. We might use you to help solve our energy problems in Australia. But you've been recognised in 8 significant awards overseas. I think the Decanter magazine named you amongst the 50 most influential winemakers in the world. And you've co-authored 4 books on Australian wines and 1 book on wines of the world. And you make a pretty good wine. You have done so much for the regard in which Australian wines are held globally. And of course, in Australia, you are virtually a household name for anybody who has even the passing interest in wine. So you're a most worthy recipient of this very high award. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Appointed a Companion in the General Division, Mr John Gandel. For eminent service to the community as a benefactor and supporter of a range of visual arts and cultural institutions, to youth education, medical and biotechnology innovation programs, to business, and to the advancement of philanthropic giving. Mr Gandel is among the country's most esteemed philanthropists and businessmen. He continues to make an outstanding contribution to the Australian community, not only in terms of his leadership in business, but through an inspiring commitment to philanthropy and nurturing community organisations. He's an unwavering supporter of the arts, Indigenous issues, health and medical research, and he's an outstanding advocate for social cohesion and inclusion. Mr. Gandel is a pillar of support within the community and deserves this nation's highest praise. Mr. John Gandel, appointed a Companion of the Order.
Good afternoon, John.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, I don't let you get away though, because your philanthropy, your assistance to the National Gallery of Australia is just phenomenal. But it's in the health side that really you've probably less well known, but so eminently powerful in Alfred Health. I think it was the Burns Unit, cancer research, just an amazing and ongoing list of causes that are directly to do with the welfare of the national community and also, of course, naturally around Melbourne, where you've got research and outcomes that are life-saving and life-uplifting. This is a wonderful mission you've given yourself. You were made an AO in 1990, and it's here absolutely appropriate you get our nation's highest award for your generosity, your business acumen, and the way you steward some of these marvellous institutions into the future. Congratulations, John.
Yeah.
Appointed a Companion in the General Division, Mr. Alan Joyce. For eminent service to the aviation transport industry, to the development of the national and international tourism sectors, to gender equity, inclusion and diversity, and to the community, particularly as a supporter of Indigenous education. Mr. Joyce has made an immense contribution to Australia's commercial aviation network over the last 9 years as CEO of Qantas. His wisdom and expertise have benefited several of Australia's leading airlines. He's been a key player in forging relationships with state and national governments, as well as international companies, to promote Australia's tourism potential. He has demonstrated great compassion and altruism through his involvement in community initiatives ranging from Indigenous education to medical research foundations. And he has been a very strong advocate for equality and diversity in the workplace. Mr. Joyce's efforts have provided monumental support to the nation's airlines, tourism and social welfare. Mr. Alan Joyce, appointed a Companion of the Order.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Good afternoon. Very good. Yeah, there we go.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Alan.
Thank you very much.
Well, joined Aer Lingus in 1988, then eventually came here, was involved with Ansett and then straight into Qantas, and then Jetstar as the CEO, and then 2009 CEO of the whole company, and which included all the arms and legs of Qantas. And what a roller coaster that's been, and what a fantastic position you brought the airline to over that time. All of that, you were probably one of the best known CEOs in Australia. And I can attest to the fact that you've been a mighty advocate for change, diversity, equity, and as a male champion of change, you've been a tremendous role model. You're a most worthy recipient of Australia's highest honour. Congratulations.
Thanks, Governor General. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appointed a Companion in the General Division, Mr. Julian McMahon. For eminent service to the law and the legal profession through pro bono representation of defendants in capital punishment cases overseas, as an advocate for the abolition of the death penalty and to human rights and social justice reform. Mr. McMahon has made a significant contribution in promoting the rule of law and bringing public interest to the legal profession. His generosity, leadership and prominence as a speaker on human rights, capital punishment, terrorism and terrorism laws reflect outstanding leadership in the Australian legal profession. Mr. McMahon has played a role in many significant legal cases, both in Australia and abroad, and has fought diligently for his clients' rights and safety. Mr. McMahon is a role model within the legal profession and is deserving of this nation's highest recognition. Mr. Julian McMahon, appointed a Companion of the Order.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
There we go. Now, you were the face of those unfortunate folks who were caught up in Bali. You were the face of Australia's attempts to rehabilitate them and have them reprieved of the death penalty. Now, unfortunately, that didn't eventuate, but you epitomised the nation's attitude towards capital punishment, and I think that's resulted in your presidency and probably founding motive in Reprieve Australia. And in light of that, you got the President's Law Council Medal in 2016. You're also Victorian of the Year in 2016. You are a standard bearer for the sorts of things that make us a just and humane society, and we congratulate you on receiving this highest honour.
Thank you, Governor General.
Appointed an Officer in the General Division, Professor Ian Anderson, for distinguished service to the Indigenous community, particularly in the areas of health, equality, aged care and education, as an academic, researcher and medical practitioner, to policy reform and as a role model. Professor Anderson has forged an exceptional career in Indigenous health research and development, demonstrating great leadership and dedication to improving health and social outcomes for the Indigenous community. His expertise spans medical and socio-cultural disciplines of academia and has led to leadership roles in several government, academic and community organisations where he continues to promote social equity. Professor Anderson's determination and compassion for all Australians is significant. His contributions towards positive outcomes for our nation are truly remarkable. Professor Ian Anderson, appointed an Officer of the Order.
Good afternoon. Reading your CV, it was very... No, you come and you're reading your CV... No, hands in pockets, no. Reading your CV, you've just got a wonderful insight into Indigenous health. You were in charge of the health unit at University of Melbourne. You were also a Pro-Chancellor in Indigenous engagement there. And you are now heading up a branch of the Prime Minister's, or the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet on Indigenous Affairs. So you're right close to the heart of political power where you can continue this great work. The Indigenous community of Australia are lucky they've got you in their corner. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Appointed an Officer in the General Division, Mr. Andrew Fletcher, for distinguished service to business, particularly to the development of defence-related industries in South Australia, through senior roles with maritime, facility and major infrastructure projects, and to engineering. Mr. Fletcher has dedicated himself to the development and strengthening of the nation's defence industry. His leadership has paved the way for advancing policies and investments surrounding intellectual infrastructure vital to defence capabilities and opportunities. In addition to this, Mr. Fletcher has demonstrated extraordinary commitment to promoting the Defence Reserves. He has also selflessly shared his knowledge and expertise with various government, maritime and not-for-profit committees. Mr. Fletcher's support and influence has been of great benefit to the people and economy of Australia. Mr. Andrew Fletcher, appointed an Officer of the Order.
Hello, Andrew. How are you?
Good.
Let's get it all nice.
Thank you.
Yes. you've been an engineer, a working engineer for most of your professional adult life, and you have ended up being an all-rounder because your engineering skill and discipline has led you into all kinds of different ventures. But in particular, you take enormous credit for the establishment of Techport, that wonderful maritime facility in Adelaide. That is such an economic driver for the state. And in your capacity as Chief Executive Officer of Defence South Australia from 2007 until quite recently, it's been a wonderful journey. And you were also named Engineer of the Year in South Australia in 2009, I think that was the case. So you've just had this unparalleled excellence as a business person, as a professional engineer, and as a leader. South Australia owes you a debt of thanks, and of course this medal is in some ways an acknowledgement of that. Congratulations.
Appointed an officer in the General Division, Dr. Philip McFadden, for distinguished service to earth sciences as a geophysicist through leadership of Australia's peak geoscience body, through collaboration and innovation in research, and to professional societies. Dr. McFadden has made an exceptional contribution as a leader, mentor, and researcher in the field of earth sciences for over 3.5 decades. His efforts saw him become the first, become Chief Scientist of Geoscience Australia, develop a world-leading tsunami warning system, and foster partnerships between the mining industry, government and academia to advance mineral exploration in Australia. Dr. McFadden's hard work and success have been of great benefit to Australian science, research and society as a whole, and today we recognise him. Dr. Philip McFadden, appointed an Officer of the Order.
Philip. There we go. So you were actually, you organised the 34th Congress of Geoscientists in Brisbane in 2012. Yes. But I remember you more when you were the Chief Geoscientist in 2004, after the Boxing Day tsunami, when we all gathered, a sort of very senior group. Yep. You advised us on the likely outcomes and effects of that tsunami, and you shaped Australia's immediate response. And thus the huge effort that Australia put into the upliftment of the people, particularly in Indonesia, comes down to the fact we had one of the world's great experts advising the government. So I'll never forget that. Congratulations.
Thank you, Governor General.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appointed an Officer in the Military Division, Lieutenant General Angus Campbell, for distinguished service as Head Military Strategic Commitments, Deputy Chief of Army and Chief of Army. General Campbell's superb service in the Australian Army's most challenging roles has been instrumental in steering cultural and strategic reform. His remarkable intellect, vision, capacity and selfless commitment have delivered superior results, particularly with Defence's pathway to change within Army. General Campbell's performance is widely recognised as the benchmark for leadership and has all the hallmarks of a distinguished contribution which brings great credit upon himself, the Australian Army and the Australian Defence Force. Lieutenant General Angus Campbell, appointed an Officer of the Order.
G'day, Angus. I've known General Campbell for a very long time, but I first saw him in full swing, so to speak, commanding his battalion in East Timor. I noted then that this was the finest battalion of a great group of very good battalions that had been there, and it was due to his leadership. I later saw General Campbell, then still a colonel, and when he became my Chief of Staff when I was Chief of the Defence Force, during the very hectic, challenging days of the operations in Iraq in 2003. Later, he went to work over at the Prime Minister's, for the Prime Minister in the area of National Security Advisor, and for several years before returning to military service. And then he had a very highly successful command responsibility in the Middle East, and has now become, of course, in command of the Army. And you're doing a magnificent job there, and I'm very proud to say that the Army is in great hands.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Appointed a member in the General Division, Miss Alice Giles, for significant service to the performing arts as a harpist, educator and mentor, and through contributions to Australia's musical landscape. Miss Giles has demonstrated undeniable talent and passion for music, both in her performances and her ability to influence generations of aspiring musicians. She's without doubt a gifted all-rounder, a concert artist, a skilled and dedicated educator, an entrepreneur, and a great advocate of the harp and Australian music. Ms. Giles is widely regarded as a first-class artist and mentor, and continues to do her music, her pupils and her country proud. Ms. Alice Giles, appointed a member of the Order.
How are you? Thank you. Whoop. Can't have you that might fall. There we
Faulty one.
No, it's the best one we've got. There we go. Congratulations. Now, you founded the Harp Centre,
I did, yes.
and it goes strong today. You're at the ANU School of Music. Yep. And you organised a World Congress of the Harp, didn't you?
That's right, yeah.
Fantastic.
In
But,
Sydney.
so you are at this pinnacle level of involvement and upliftment and promotion of the harp as a beautiful instrument, and you're also involved with the Yass Music Club. The people of Yass are going crazy. How many, have you recruited many harpists there?
Yes, I've got one at the conservatorium from Yass.
But will you take a mouth organ player? You will.
Not very good at blowing.
What I'm suggesting is that you are a lady of infinite energy, and the fact that you're doing all these things at the very peak of this beautiful instrument, down to a local music club. Now we understand why you've been recognised this way. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Appointed a member in the General Division, Colonel Ross Harding, for significant service to the veteran community through preserving and documenting the history of modern Army aviation in Australia. Colonel Harding is a veteran of the Korean War. Since leaving the Australian Army Aviation Corps, he's continued to work single-handedly to establish the history of the Corps. He's shown immeasurable loyalty for over 3 decades, giving countless hours to researching and documenting all he possibly can. On top of this, he's remained a loyal member of the Church, Legacy and the Duntroon Society. Colonel Harding is a remarkable and truly committed individual. Colonel Ross Harding, appointed a member of the Order.
Hello, Ross.
Well, it had to happen, I suppose.
Good to see you, my friend. There we go. Now, you founded the Australian Army Aviation Society, didn't you?
No, well, the society, yes.
Yeah, that's right, the society, yeah. And you're honorary colonel for a whole bunch of years there?
Yes,
The Duntroon Society,
Yes.
Canberra Legacy.
yes.
What have I missed out?
Little ones.
Little ones. You're one of those people who just remains eternally busy. You're a guide too, weren't you, at
Yes.
Duntroon? The guide system at Duntroon are volunteers who will take groups of visitors around what to the Army is a holy place and show them all where the mysteries are and the legends occur. And I can't imagine it being in better hands than having somebody like you do that for them.
Thank you.
Your involvement with the church continues?
Yes.
Okay, a Lutheran church, where is it?
St Peter's, Reed.
Okay, lovely to see you. Congratulations.
very much.
Cheers.
Appointed a member in the General Division, Mr Michael Piggott, for significant service to the community as an archivist with national and international educational and cultural institutions and as an author. Mr Piggott is one of Australia's foremost archivists and historical researchers. His knowledge and proficiency have seen him manage the records and collections of several major organisations, ranging from universities to museums. He has an astonishing reputation in caring for collections, educating others in the profession, and raising awareness of the importance of our unique archives and cultural collections. Mr Piggott has demonstrated commitment and passion for managing our links to the past, and for that we recognise his efforts today. Mr Michael Piggott, appointed a member of the Order.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Good.
Good to see you. You were a very long-term archivist of the National Library of Australia, and then a very long-term archivist straight after that of the Australian War Memorial.
Indeed.
You're a consultant archivist to New Zealand,
Yes.
Melbourne Uni,
Yes.
Adelaide University,
Yes.
and you wrote a book called The Coconut Lancers.
I did.
And that, and that was about Australia's troops that we sent to Papua, 1914 to 21 or 22.
Yes.
You're a polymath and a wonderful person to meet, and you look like you know more secrets than I've had hot breakfast. All the best. Congratulations.
Appointed a member in the General Division, Mr Gary Watson, for significant service to the tourism industry in the Australian Capital Territory and to educational visitation initiatives. Mr Watson has been an avid supporter of the tourism industry in the ACT for many years. He's held in the highest regard by members of the sector for his dedication and drive to design quality programs and visitor experiences. He's worked proudly and tirelessly to raise the profile of the nation's capital through designing school excursion programs, lobbying government, mentoring staff, and overseeing local tourism awards. Mr Watson is a stalwart of this community and has been behind some of the best attractions this city has to offer, and today we thank him. Mr Gary Watson, appointed a member of the Order.
I'll do this first and then we'll... I always worry that if I shake hands I'll drop it. Here we go, now we can do it. Now, plenty of people will know about your Canberra incarnation, but you've been on the National Tourism Awards as a judge for a number of years, and you're now still the chair?
I am the chair.
The chair of the Australian Tourism Awards, yeah. Interestingly, you're very active in the church. You've been a deacon of the Lutheran Church, and now you're the chair, I guess, of the Church Council, is it? Well, you've living a wonderful life, and we know what a contribution you make to Canberra and now on the national stage. So thank you for your service, and we ask you to please continue. You're an inspiration.
Thank you. Most humble, Governor.
Thank you.
Appointed a member in the Military Division, Commodore David Scott, for exceptional service to the field of Australian Defence Force intelligence and as the Director General, Joint Information Environment Warfare. Commodore Scott has provided over 30 years of outstanding service in the sphere of Defence Force intelligence and as Director General of Joint Information Environment Warfare. Through astute diligence and ability, he's enhanced Australia's strategic decision-making processes as well as the Australian Defence Force's credibility, cooperation and coordination with allied intelligence agencies. Commodore Scott's service upholds the finest traditions of the Royal Australian Navy and the Australian Defence Force. Commodore David Scott, appointed a member of the Order.
Hello, David. Hello, sir. Congratulations. You entered the Navy many years ago, 1979?
So,
And you've been 30 years in the intelligence field,
yes,
but who's counting? Eh?
that's right.
You served in Iraq and you served in Afghanistan in intelligence-related activities. The United States military gave you a Bronze Star. You are a profound professional. Obviously, the sorts of work you do, only other technicians and people with a need to know can be privy to all of it. But I think we accept that in such challenging times, when our troops and those that we are assisting require information of the highest quality, they rely so heavily upon you and the community you represent. We're very proud of you. Keep it up.
Thanks, sir.
Appointed a member in the Military Division, Colonel Deborah Bradford. For exceptional service to Defence Education and Training as Colonel, Education, Training and Development at Headquarters Forces Command, Army, and Director of Learning Capability Development for the Australian Defence College. Colonel Bradford's contributions have resulted in enhancements to the education and training environment in both the Australian Army and the wider Defence Force. Her leadership of reforms and focus on training have had a profound impact on Defence's capabilities, as well as positioning Defence to embrace new and emergent education and technologies. Colonel Bradford has shown great knowledge, understanding and leadership in her role and truly deserves our recognition. Colonel Deborah Bradford, appointed a member of the Order.
Hello, how are you going?
Well, thank you, sir.
Good to see you again.
And you too.
Cheers. Now, you were relatively later than the previous officer to join the service, 91, was it?
Yes, sir.
91. But importantly, in your more senior role now, you were asked to look at individual training with a budget of $90 million, from which you were able to save $6 million. We should give you a bar to this.
I'll take any more you want to give.
Yeah, okay. But this contribution is fantastic. I think you introduced a Google education process into Defence's training. First government department to do that, and it's been wonderfully successful. Imagine that. You'll probably get a Google award at some stage, but in any event, you are mighty effective in this wonderful world of training, and we thank you for it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Congratulations.
Appointed a member in the Military Division, Lieutenant Colonel Ian Robinson. For exceptional service to deployed Australian Defence Force personnel through Forces Entertainment from 2008 to 2016. For 8 years, Colonel Robinson has been the champion of Forces Entertainment, supporting Australian forces deployed overseas. Through commitment, innovation and energetic drive, Colonel Robinson has established deep collaborative relationships with the entertainment industry, the Returned and Services League and Defence to enable performances to personnel in warlike and non-warlike operations to take place around the globe. His leadership and passion for Forces Entertainment and the welfare of deployed personnel have been truly exemplary. Lieutenant Colonel Ian Robinson, appointed a member of the Order.
I'll put that away. I'll get to you in a moment. Good on you, Robbie. We've known each other such a long time. Vietnam with the 7th Battalion on their second tour, I think it was. Is that right?
Correct, sir.
Okay. And here you are still in uniform all these many years later. You've got more service stars on there than you can poke a stick at. And you reinvented yourself in your service to be the military expert to take these wonderful Australian entertainers out to see the men and women of the Navy, Army and Air Force. And you've been doing that for years. It's wildly successful. The troops love it. You've become an icon yourself in amongst all those people on the various deployments, and you're the link person between the troops, the headquarters and the entertainers. And I think everybody benefits from that. You're a credit to the Army. Well done.
Thank you, sir. That's been a pleasure.
Appointed a member in the Military Division, Major General Catherine Toohey, for exceptional service to the Australian Defence Force in the fields of capability development and education. General Toohey has provided remarkable service to the Australian Defence Force through major improvements in the provision of master's education in the fields of technical capability and acquisition. She's made a significant contribution to advancing the integration of the Australian Defence Force's capability development functions and professionalism of its workforce. General Toohey's extraordinary achievements have delivered great benefits to the Australian Defence Force and its personnel. Major General Catherine Toohey appointed a member of the Order.
Hi, Catherine. Come forward. So you joined the Army in 1987. You used to trudge around here in 1997 as ADC to the Governor-General, Sir William Dean. But your career is so much more multifaceted than that. I remember you, of course, as my staff officer at the Royal Military College, but it's your work recently where you have reorganised higher level training in the services, which has attracted this very highly merited award. You're probably the junior Major General at the moment, are you?
Absolutely.
You are the junior Major. This means she was promoted quite recently, but I'm delighted to see you in the general ranks, and you'll have a long and further illustrious career. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awarded the medal in the General Division to the late Mr. Walter Blumenfeld, to be accepted by his wife, Mrs. Helen Blumenfeld, for service to the community of the Australian Capital Territory. Mr. Blumenfeld's shining enthusiasm and commitment to helping Canberrans spanned a number of decades. From his early life as a migrant to Australia, to his later roles as a volunteer for the emergency services, community care programs and the Australian War Memorial, Mr. Blumenfeld touched the lives of many in the region. His dedication to mentoring and helping others made him a great role model for the community, and we remember him today for his untiring efforts. Mrs. Helen Blumenfeld accepts the award of the Medal of the Order of Australia on behalf of her late husband, Mr. Walter Blumenfeld.
Hello. Let me give you this and we'll pose with it. Here we go. Now, your late husband was such a person, like the quintessential volunteer, the SES ACT Volunteer of the Year in recent times, and he was also, of course, in the St John's for a very long time, and a guide at the War Memorial. I met him when he was a guide at the War Memorial. And of course
I think you mentioned it.
yeah, he's sadly missed, but we're delighted you're here to remember him, and today we honour him. So thank you very much for receiving the insignia for this wonderful man who's no longer with us. Congratulations.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Lieutenant Colonel John Bullen, for service to military history preservation and education. Colonel Bullen has demonstrated great devotion to the heritage of the Royal Military College Duntroon and to the ex-service community. Throughout his life, he's given countless hours to the assistance of others, particularly retired defence personnel. His wise counsel, encouragement, support and friendship to so many has been and continues to be a source of great inspiration. Lieutenant Colonel John Bullen, awarded the Medal of the Order.
Hello, John. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.
There's only two sorts of people in the military, those who know John Bullen and those about to be met. You are widely known. You're a pillar of the Duntroon Society, the Heritage Committee at Duntroon, a great member of the Australian Army Survey Association. You're a published author. You wrote John Bullen's War, a Vietnam Diary, didn't you?
Guilty, sir.
Guilty, yes, right. And it's a great work of fiction. I read it. You are a great and energetic person. This is going to attract everybody's delight to see you recognised this way, and the Molonglo Cricket Club will applaud their wicketkeeper most warmly. All the best.
Thank you.
All right.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mrs. Susan Litchfield. For service to the community of Cooma and to cancer research and support organisations. Mrs. Litchfield has made an extraordinary contribution to the Cooma Monaro community. She gives generously of her time by raising funds for cancer research, mentoring others and supporting the people of the region, particularly those suffering from illness, in any way she can. Mrs. Litchfield is a great example of an individual who demonstrates exceptional pride and kind-heartedness towards her community. Mrs. Susan Litchfield, awarded the Medal of the Order.
Hello there. Congratulations. So the Monaro Cancer Research Committee Council, yep. And you've been also, I think, chair of the advisory committee for Cooma Hospital, is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
A recipient of the Paul Harris Award in Rotary. Yeah. Are you in Rotary as well?
I'm actually not, no, but
They gave you a Paul Harris.
They did.
Oh, they know what's what. Yeah.
And thank you for Monero.
Yeah, yeah. All your friends and all the folks of Cooma, all the people who rely on that sort of indefatigable spirit of energy that you represent, they're all applauding now because we're online.
Thank you.
This is
Thank
going
you
around the
very much
world.
for that.
Yeah, I can faintly hear applause from the palace. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, 2 awards, Mrs. Christine Lofts and Mr. Ian Lofts. For service to children as foster carers. Over the last 40 years, Mr. and Mrs. Lofts have opened their home to over 380 children as foster carers and respite operators. They have an unparalleled drive and capacity to offer the love, support and guidance vital to each and every child's development. Their unstifled compassion has seen them care for many children carrying significant trauma or disability, and to also permanently adopt 5 children as their own. Mr. and Mrs. Lofts are indeed an inspiration to us all. Mrs. Christine Lofts, awarded the Medal of the Order.
Hello there. There we go. Congratulations, Stan.
Thank you.
Now, would you mind waiting just here?
Mr. Ian Lofts, awarded the Medal of the Order.
Congratulations. Come here. Look at that. You don't move because I think after all those kids you must be exhausted.
Not doing too good.
But in reading your biographical notes, I saw that apart from this wonderful parenting that you've been providing these youngsters, and particularly the ones that you decided you wanted to adopt, that you've been going through all of those mandated courses and all those sorts of checks and balances to make sure that you were exactly the sorts of carers that the community wants to see for these kids. You are beyond description. You are very, very important people in our community because you take care of these kids who need love. And we extend you our affection today. I'll just fix that while you're there. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mr. Gerard Mapstone. For service to veterans and their families, Mr. Mapstone has been actively involved in the ex-service community, particularly for Vietnam veterans, for many years. He's represented numerous ex-service personnel in the Canberra region as a pensions officer and led one of the capital's peak bodies for Vietnam veterans with great proficiency. Mr. Mapstone's outstanding efforts, dedication, willingness and leadership in assisting and attending to local veterans' needs have earned him the community's highest regard. Mr. Gerard Mapstone, awarded the Medal of the Order.
Good afternoon. How are you? Congratulations. So are you still president of the Vietnam? No, but you have been. You've done all those things. You've filled all those offices of the Vietnam Veterans Federation. You're still an advocate and a pensions officer. And I believe that you're also on a telephone support line for...
That was many years ago.
Yeah. How did that work? Have you got other people to come in behind you?
No, it was discontinued, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. But that just describes your zeal for the care of your fellow veterans.
Yes.
And within a community like Canberra, there's quite a few people who fall into that category, and they've got an expert and a strong shoulder to lean upon with you. Well done.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mrs. Louise Mugridge. For service to oncology nursing and to the community of Young. Mrs. Mugridge's service to the community as a nurse in oncology, a health consultant, care coordinator and participant in local advisory committees warrants immense praise. Her contributions to the health and well-being of the community of Young have been truly remarkable. Mrs. Mugridge has worked hard to help foster a collegial and harmonious community in Young and her town, along with the rest of the nation. We all applaud her efforts. Mrs. Louise Mugridge, awarded the Medal of the Order.
Hello.
Hello.
There we go. Did you start at Prince of Wales as an oncology nurse?
I did, and I trained in the Mater at Brisbane.
Yep.
Yes.
And then you went bush?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
And you've been in the same professional stream ever since?
Mm-hmm.
But you do a lot of other things. What's a silent member of the Young, what is it? You're a silent member. And I just couldn't understand that.
Oh, well, I just do a bit of background. I don't.
You do stuff in the background. So that's what silent member means?
Yes.
Okay. And what about look good, feel better?
Well, that's a program run by the volunteers for the cancer patients.
So this is
Help
cancer
people.
patients, and the
It's all
project
good.
is look good, feel better,
Yes,
and that's to get them to feel good in themselves even if they're ill.
yes,
Okay.
run by volunteers.
And there's no stopping it. What's the other one in between? You've got another one in there too.
There's a community group that I'm involved with.
Yes.
And
Community chest.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So they're a wonderful group, local group actually.
And what do they do?
They raise money for the town to sort of help financially support people who are disadvantaged at the moment.
So it looks like all your energy after you finish your formal job gets put into helping others. You're a marvel. Well done. Congratulations.
Very much.
People are young and lucky.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Dr. Mohammed Patel, for service to medicine, particularly the field of epidemiology. Dr. Patel has remained an unsung hero of public health in Australia and internationally for many years. His work with health departments and research institutes has helped to lead us to the education of numerous doctors, veterinarians, scientists, and medical professionals in the area of field epidemiology. Dr. Patel is a leader in this specialised discipline and is owed a great debt of gratitude by his pupils, colleagues, and our society as a whole. Dr. Mohammed Patel awarded the Medal of the Order.
Doctor, how are you?
Thank you.
Oh, I'll just get that out. There we go. Face this way. Now, you work for the Northern Territory Government, don't you? Director of Communicable Diseases Control up there?
I used to be about 20 years ago.
Oh. Don't they need it anymore?
Canberra needed me more.
Well, what I'm seeing though is you consult the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, World Health Organisation,
Yes,
ASEAN,
that's right.
so far so good,
Yes,
in India, Vietnam, Malaysia,
correct.
any more? What do you got against the Kiwis?
China.
China. Oh, well, I shouldn't have forgotten China. But the area that you work in is of fundamental importance in developing countries where ordinary people are so exposed to communicable disease, and you are a profound expert, and we're lucky we've got you, and you've been rightly rewarded today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Ms. Tina Phillip, for service to nursing and to community health. Ms. Phillip is a tremendous advocate for mental health education, therapy and support services in the Eurobodalla Shire. Her eagerness to mentor and learn is exemplified through her dedication to her work. She's provided extensive support to clients, students and colleagues in understanding and addressing mental health issues. Ms. Phillip has shown great compassion for her community and is an outstanding Australian. Ms. Tina Phillip awarded the Medal of the Order.
Good afternoon. How are you? Yeah. Now, you started with Bateman's Bay, didn't you, with the mental health service there, and now you're in Eurobodalla?
Yeah, I originally started in Goulburn, but
Yep.
I've been in Eurobodalla since 1984.
Okay, and you've got the relatives and friends of mentally ill. That was a group that in Eurobodalla that you started, I think, didn't
Yep,
you?
yep.
And now it's a prevention of suicide. Is that the other group?
Oh, there's a number.
Yeah, but and you're involved in them, are
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Well, you know, you're the sort of person who is so energetic and focused on what is a scourge in any community, and you've said that people should and will take notice and do their best to assist. So this medal here is a sign that your community has seen what you're doing and thinks you're marvellous. So do we.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mr Darryl Rice, for service to the community through voluntary roles. Mr Rice has served as a volunteer with a range of organisations, including St John Ambulance Australia, for over 31 years. He's demonstrated an exceptional ability to train others in first aid and orchestrate teams of medical officers and assistants at community events. He's a highly respected and effective leader to his peers and patients, and today we salute him. Mr Darryl Rice, awarded the Medal of the Order.
G'day, how are you?
Oh, thanks.
Face this way. If you were here in a surf cap, you'd be a surf lifesaver. If you were here in an SES uniform, you'd be another volunteer that we were seeking to honour. If you were in the Royal Flying Doctor Service Foundation, one of the or auxiliary, we'd be honouring you. You're in the St John's, and we know the fabulous work that the whole organisation does. You're a paramedic, you're a trainer, you're a long-serving member, and we're very proud of you, and so should St John's be, and well done.
Thank you, sir.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mrs Faye Skyring, for service to the creative arts and to the community of Canberra. Mrs Skyring is a weaver who has played an active and considerable role in the cultural development of the Australian Capital Territory and the nation as a whole. She single-handedly produced several hand-woven fabrics still on display in Parliament House, art institutions and in churches and cathedrals across the country. Mrs Skyring's talent, knowledge and reputation for quality truly precede her, and we are proud to award her today for her efforts. Mrs Faye Skyring, awarded the Medal of the Order.
How are you?
Very well.
Yeah.
Excited.
Are you excited? Me too. Now, you are not only a wonderful weaver, but your work sits in the Parliament. You've got work in the Prime Minister's suite, the Leader of the Opposition suite. They don't talk to each other, those two weavings, do they? In the Speaker's suite. But you're also at the Beaver Galleries, an artist there for 25 years or so. And aren't you the resident artist at the Gorman Art Centre?
Yes, I was until I retired.
You've retired?
Oh, yes.
Do they know? No, they'll be
I
devastated.
retired in June.
That's just, in June, only just the other day.
Yeah.
Well, you know what a contribution you've made to what might be called the belly pock of ACT. And aren't the parliamentarians lucky to have your work? I must now ask the Prime Minister to show me.
Yes,
Okay.
when you go visit.
Yeah, all the best to you, and
you so
congratulations. Your community thinks you're doing a fabulous thing for them.
Thank you.
Well done.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mrs Janice Wilson, for service to the community of Yass. Mrs Wilson has demonstrated extensive and valuable involvement with several voluntary groups in the Yass community. Her contributions as president of the local radio station, founder of the Yass University of the Third Age, and executive of the local View, Legacy and RSL branches have all been of note. Mrs Wilson has shown immense dedication in giving so much back to her community, and today we recognise her. Mrs Janice Wilson, awarded the Medal of the Order.
Hello.
Hello.
Feeling, yeah?
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
He covered a great span of your activities, but then your activities cover a great span because you've been extremely busy. is it, what's it, 100.3 is your broadcast frequency, 100, in the FM band, 100, 100.3. Are you still involved?
Yes.
Okay.
Got back as president again.
Okay.
Which I didn't want.
But he didn't mention that years ago you used to be a JP.
Yes.
You're not JPing anymore?
No, I moved from Canberra to
Oh, I see.
New South Wales.
I see. Anyway,
Doesn't carry over.
yeah, well, it doesn't carry over, but I mean, there you are, you're poised. Do you have to keep current as JP? They brief you
no,
every year?
well, once I left,
Yeah.
it wouldn't carry over. to
Geographically,
New South Wales,
yeah,
yes.
gotcha.
And when I asked them out there, they said, well, they had enough.
Will you have filled up the rest of your life with all the necessary or even impossible voluntary work that could be done? Legacy, what else did I hear there?
I'm president of women's auxiliary.
Yeah, that's right, and in the RSL as
In the
well.
RSL,
Yep.
yep.
Well done, congratulations.
very much.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you. It's an honour.
Awarded the medal in the Military Division, Warrant Officer Nikolai Rofe. For meritorious performance of duty as a senior sailor in the field of training and maritime operational preparedness. Warrant Officer Rofe has provided meritorious performance across many postings, whether he was instructing officers through initial training, leading and supporting boarding parties in HMAS Melbourne, or preparing Australian Defence Force personnel for combat operations. His efforts have been exceptional. His commitment to leadership and instruction of officer trainees and sailors has been superior. Warrant Officer Nikolai Rofe awarded the Medal of the Order.
How are you?
Your Excellency.
Come forward a little. Yeah. Well done. Look this way. Well, you were at the Defence Force Academy as a senior sailor, weren't you, at some stage? Yeah. And became a great role model. I know that because I know that. And your work in the 39th Operational Support Battalion was outstanding. I think you sent people of the three services off to 4 operations during your time there. Basically wrote the rule book, got them ready to deploy. And then when you were the bosun of Melbourne, I think a lot of that came to the fore and you had that ship just up eating out of your hand. And they had a very successful tour. So in all respects, you are an absolute role model as a warrant officer, senior man in the Royal Australian Navy. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir.
Carry on.
Your Excellency, we turn to Distinguished Service Decorations and awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, Colonel Gavin Keating, for distinguished command and leadership in warlike operations as the Commander Task Group Taji 2 on Operation Okra in Iraq. Colonel Keating distinguished himself through his command and leadership of the combined Australian and New Zealand contribution to the training of the Iraqi Army. Through his vision and leadership, Task Group Taji evolved and as an effective training unit that enhanced Iraqi Army fighting capability and reinforced Australia's reputation as a valuable coalition partner. Colonel Gavin Keating awarded the Distinguished Service Cross.
Hello, Gavin. How are you? Face this way. Now, Gavin, I've known you for a very long time, and I saw that when you were in command of that group over there with your wonderful soldiers, you trained 4,000 Iraqis. That was during your time there. 4,000 people who were trained by some of the best troops in the world to give them a great fighting chance to prevail in the bitter struggles that they had to encounter. So many of those young men in those 4,000 Iraqi soldiers will still be alive because of the quality of the training delivered by the Australians under your command. Did you have Kiwis with you as well?
We did, sir.
We'll spread the joy to them as well. They're a mighty force as well. But you were the boss and you've been recognised because that was a very hazardous and very sensitive mission. And something that folks here won't know, I spotted this young man would have a great career back in 1999 when he led a small group of Special Forces soldiers to return Janana Guzmau from Darwin to his rightful place at the head of his people in East Timor. That was you, Gavin, and I knew then you'd have a marvellous career along the family line, may I say. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chief.
Awarded the Distinguished Service Medal, Colonel James Hammett, for distinguished leadership in warlike operations during Operation Okra as the Training Task Unit Commander, Task Group Taji 2 in Iraq from November 2015 until June 2016. Through outstanding devotion to duty and exemplary leadership, then Lieutenant Colonel Hammett led the Training Task Unit of the Combined Australian and New Zealand Task Group in the delivery of highly effective training to the Iraqi Army. His initiative, skill, and his deep and genuine relationships with the Iraqi leadership were key to the preparation of Iraqi forces for combat operations against Daesh. Colonel James Hammett awarded the Distinguished Service Medal.
Hi, James. Congratulations. Look this way. Now, if my reading of it, you worked with Colonel Keating.
Yes, sir.
So you were a team.
Yes,
He was doing all of the command and high-level stuff, but you were hands-on, involved in training all those Iraqi soldiers.
Yes, sir.
You are a quintessential infantryman. You always have been. You've been absolutely passionate about the skill, the art, the calling of the infantry. I can imagine how you would have related to those young Iraqi men to put them out the door with the best possible chance of fighting and surviving. You were deeply respected by the Iraqi army, I know that. And you developed that relationship to a point where they absolutely prized their opportunity to be trained by Australians. Your late father would be very proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
Your Excellency, we turn to Conspicuous Service decorations and awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Lieutenant Colonel Micah Batt, for outstanding achievement in the delivery of all-corps ab initio officer training for Army as the Commanding Officer and Chief Instructor of the Royal Military College, Duntroon. Colonel Batt demonstrated outstanding achievement in the delivery and governance of officer training in Army, particularly through the introduction of a suite of innovative programs. These innovations have substantially reduced injuries to staff cadets whilst increasing functional fitness and improving resilience training. His exceptional command, innovation and dedication will have an enduring impact. Lieutenant Colonel Micah Batt, awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross.
G'day, good to see you. Look this way. Well, you did precisely what was needed. You took the training syllabus for young officers and put it on its head, shook it and modernised it. You particularly looked at the rehabilitation of people who, for all kinds of reasons, fall off the pace with an injury and they needed to be rehabilitated. That's a wonderful thing. These brilliant young men and women who can't be allowed to be left behind, you had them rehabilitated in a magnificent way. You also, I think, changed the whole emphasis of perhaps past training to make it very relevant to the sorts of tasks young people will do when they first emerge and go off to places like Iraq and Afghanistan. And the final thing, I noted that you did a magnificent job in looking at the special service officers. Those are the padres and the education officers and folks who don't require to be given long combat-related training, but you gave them what they needed again to relate in the modern environment. So you're an outstanding leader and a great trainer. Well done.
Your Excellency, thank you very much.
Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Lieutenant Colonel David Benson, for outstanding achievement in furthering Army's diversity and inclusivity objectives as Staff Officer Grade 1 Workforce Strategy in Army Headquarters. Colonel Benson has consistently demonstrated professional excellence, motivation and application of initiative to deliver Army's diversity and inclusivity objectives. He successfully led the development and implementation of Army's Gender and Diversity Council to drive cultural reform, diversity and inclusion within Army. Colonel Benson's hard work and dedication is an inspiration to the entire Defence Force. Lieutenant Colonel David Benson, awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross.
Hello, David. Congratulations, look this way. The thing I've liked about your work is not so... I'm just going to stand here, you can't see me, can you? Come here, we'll do something a little different there. Yeah, that's better. Hello, how are you? What I really loved about your work was that it wasn't reactive and confining, but looking to step forward with Army's approach to the inculcation and incorporation of Indigenous people into the military, and to find ways to empathise with the culture as well as making them into wonderful men and women of the armed forces. You did that with the gender side, but also particularly with Indigenous Australians. And this initiative where you work with the opportunity hubs with the New South Wales government, I think that shows great lateral thinking. So well done, and please keep that work up. Congratulations.
Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Lieutenant Colonel Roger Holmes, for outstanding devotion to duty in the support and recovery of wounded, injured and ill members of the Australian Defence Force. Colonel Holmes' outstanding dedication to the health and well-being of wounded, injured and ill service personnel has been exemplary and critical to the success of two key Australian Defence Force initiatives. His genuine care and support for others is evident through his involvement in the design of the Australian Defence Force Arts for Recovery, Resilience, Teamwork and Skills program. Colonel Holmes' extraordinary contribution has made a positive and enduring impact on the well-being of individuals. Lieutenant Colonel Roger Holmes, awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross.
Hello, how are you? Good to see you.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, very well. With your background, it was very much expected that you might take this very passionate, energetic approach to the rehabilitation of people who were damaged in some way by their service. The long way home must have been a fascinating experience for you. And this, tell me about the arts program that we're present. I think I'm coming to see it in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, this is a follow-on with the University of Canberra.
Yep. This is a program to invite service folk, still in service, to come together and to express themselves through visual and performing arts. And people who would never have thought that they could make an impact or have a voice, find themselves expressing themselves and feeling great about it. More power to you. Well done. Please keep it up.
Thanks, sir.
Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Lieutenant Colonel Dean Thompson, for outstanding achievement as Commanding Officer of the 1st Aviation Regiment. Colonel Thompson's superior leadership was the catalyst for significantly improved operational capability in the 1st Aviation Regiment. He drew upon extensive operational and leadership experience to raise a 2nd Armed Reconnaissance Helicopter Tiger Squadron and to produce the most capable multi-role aviation task force the Army has fielded in Battle Group Griffin. The unit's operational successes are a direct reflection of Colonel Thompson's achievements as Commanding Officer. Lieutenant Colonel Dean Thompson, awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross.
Hello, Dean. Congratulations, look this way. You're the quintessential Army aviator. You're so passionate. You've been one of the driving forces in the 1st Aviation Regiment. You've had operational tours in Timor and Afghanistan. You've flown in Papua New Guinea, very hazardous flying there. And you led this wonderful combined aviation group. So was it Talisman Sabre or one of those sorts of exercises? And that must have been a thrill, but you had all kinds of helicopter types in there. But your passion is for the Tiger, isn't it?
Correct.
Well, we know that without your driving force there, it wouldn't have progressed as rapidly as it has. So this is an acknowledgement that a profoundly professional aviator is in our presence, and the Army wants you to continue the good work. Well done.
Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Watson, for outstanding achievement in the improvement and sustainment of the deployable logistics capability. Colonel Watson has made a direct and sustained impact on the Capability Acquisition and Sustainment Group's performance in support of operations and resulted in significant operational outcomes for the whole Defence Organisation. His foresight, dedication and innovation were instrumental to success in the planning for deployment and material sustainment of operational capabilities. Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Watson awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross.
Hello, Anthony. How are you? Okay, just stand here. I'm telling this chap around because he's a logistics officer, and you need to see them because they're quite rare. They rarely come out during the daylight hours. More importantly, I wanted you to see the commendations this gentleman's got. He's just been given the Conspicuous Service Cross, but as a logistician, the logistics of a force and of operations would be the last thing, perhaps, that the media might take up. It's the first thing that any general officer will worry about will be the logistics. We need people like this gentleman here to work diligently, quietly, indefatigably, and to get success. And he kept doing this for the Australian Defence Force. And that's why, unsung, but not unnoticed. Well done. Congratulations.
Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Wing Commander Bradley Clark, for outstanding achievement in organisational and aerospace capability development as Commanding Officer No. 35 Squadron, Royal Australian Air Force. Wing Commander Clark has displayed remarkable innovation and conspicuous fortitude in reforming No. 35 Squadron as a highly efficient workforce and effective flying unit, and in introducing the C-27J Spartan aircraft capability into defence operation in challenging circumstances. Wing Commander Clark is an officer of impeccable character whose leadership, dedication and extraordinary accomplishments have been most exemplary. Wing Commander Bradley Clark awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross.
G'day. We'll get on. You got on upside down. No, we'll get there. Success. Congratulations. There's nothing more crucial in the Royal Australian Air Force than when a new aircraft type is introduced, that it be done successfully, quickly, and with great professional execution, not haphazard. Can't be done in a slapdash way because it's safety and performance the whole way. Raising a squadron which is on the order of battle and is a famous squadron, and incorporating into it a new aeroplane like this magnificent replacement for the Caribou, the C-27 Spartan aeroplane, was a tremendous challenge. And so for you to be here today, having introduced that so that this really necessary capability is out there and working, with all of the flight safety stuff that you have to go through and the people issues of getting a group of people to be pilots and air crew and ground crew and maintainers and all the rest, is a tremendous accomplishment, and you thoroughly deserve that. Congratulations.
Awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal, Lieutenant Commander Lorraine Blunden, for meritorious achievement in the field of military education and training. Commander Blunden has demonstrated exemplary professionalism, leadership and accountability during a period of significant organisational, cultural and curriculum reform. Her staff work, instruction and mentoring has directly influenced the development of over 1,400 trainee officers, achieved increased levels of trainee participation, engagement and assimilation of learning outcomes, and ensured professionally developed and well-rounded junior officers graduated from the Australian Defence Force Academy. Lieutenant Commander Lorraine Blunden awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal.
Hello, how are you? Congratulations. You worked at the Australian Defence Force Warfare Centre. That was one of my old alma maters, yes. You also were ADC to the Minister for Defence and a speechwriter for the Chief of Navy. But what you're being recognised for here is the fact that you are a role model at the Academy, the Defence Force Academy. You're there to try to modernise and make better all kinds of cultural issues, and you are a wonderful role model. They all look up to you, and so do we. So please keep that work up.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal, Lieutenant Commander Jody Desenche, for meritorious devotion to duty in the field of personnel change management in the Navy Aviation Systems Program Office. Through her selfless dedication, leadership, professionalism, tact and compassion, Commander Desenche was instrumental in managing the complex transition of the workforce in the Navy Aviation System Program Office. During a period of significant change affecting the workforce structure, roles and responsibilities, she produced and implemented a plan that ensured no loss of technical, logistics or contract support to naval aviation during the transition, whilst providing support and the necessary retraining to the workforce. Lieutenant Commander Jody Desenche awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal.
Hi there. Congratulations. Look this way. Now, you're a naval reservist now, aren't you?
I am.
Okay. But one of the things one might observe is that when people, through any kind of circumstances, are exiting the Defence Force, or part thereof, we want them to go in a way which is very much a fond embrace, a fond farewell, because they're our next ambassadors out in the community. We want them to look back and love what they did, be happy with the way they departed, and we want them to broadcast how great it is as a life to other young Australians. You've been really important in making that program part of Navy's signature for people who are making their departure. So never let anybody think that that's unimportant. That is vital, because you're spreading that goodwill through people departing in a way which salutes their achievements. Well done. Thank you, Jody.
Awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal, Commander Gemma Pumphrey, for meritorious devotion to duty in the field of defence communications and information infrastructure and services. Commander Pumphrey demonstrated outstanding leadership and technical skills in the provision and support of a diverse range of critical communications and information capabilities that support both military and enterprise outcomes for the Australian Defence Force. Her adept management of the migration of communication infrastructure and service reporting and tracking using industry best practice has provided direct benefit to the Australian Defence Force through efficiency and effectiveness improvements. Commander Gemma Pumphrey awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Congratulations. Look this way. You started in 1991?
Yes, I did.
Weren't you the Executive Officer of Newcastle
I was, yes,
and
indeed.
Solomon Islands,
Yes.
Persian Gulf, border protection duties? Okay. And now you're in the communications world, you're Director of Communications Operations?
That was my last job.
Last job? Okay. But in that job, that's another vital contribution. This is why you're being recognised here, because the Navy is all over the world. The requirement is immense. And to keep communications open and full of useful material is a huge job. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, we turn to Meritorious Service Awards. Awarded the Public Service Medal, Ms Tina Blewett, for outstanding public service in the area of budget sustainability, budget development and financial management. Ms Blewett has made a remarkable contribution to the preparation of successive federal budgets and economic updates, particularly through her work to improve budget sustainability, modernise budget development processes and build capability across the public sector in the areas of public policy and financial management. Ms Blewett is widely respected for the difference she's made in the workplace, budget processes and in supporting effective government decision-making. And today she is recognised. Ms Tina Blewett, awarded the Public Service Medal.
Good afternoon. How are you? Congratulations. Now, I'm going to try my hand at some of the alphabet soup of government departments. Now, you're doing the budget at the Department of Industry, Innovation and Science. I'm looking at the Public Service Commissioner here, see whether I'm getting it right. Am I travelling okay? Yeah, you're doing the budget for them?
I've just moved to the Department of Industry, Innovation and Science. I was at the Department of Finance.
But before that, Department of Human Services?
Correct.
Department of Finance?
Yes.
I'm batting 1,000. What I'm illustrating is that you are a key figure because in each of those areas you've been the planner, the shaper through the budgetary system. And here you are in yet another government department working your magic. I won't ask how long you've been doing it. It's probably a fair while, but your colleagues recognise you for being a thoroughgoing professional. We're very proud to have you in the Australian Public Service.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Awarded the Public Service Medal, Ms Frances Finney, for outstanding public service in the area of Australian citizenship. Ms Finney has overseen the delivery of thousands of citizenship ceremonies across Australia in a way that's professionally and sensitively administered and of profound importance to countless new citizens. These ceremonies showcase Australia at its best. Its diversity, tolerance and optimism are on display in a way that's rarely matched, and she's been the linchpin of the delivery of these ceremonies. Under Ms Finney's leadership, Australia Day citizenship ceremonies, overseen by successive Prime Ministers, Governors-General, State Governors and countless town councils, have become a key part of celebrating our National Day, and today we recognise her contribution. Ms Frances Finney, awarded the Public Service Medal.
Hello. Now, tell us about the first citizenship ceremony that you participated in.
My mother's.
Your mother's citizenship ceremony quite a while ago.
Yes, many years.
Isn't that wonderful? And do you still find them exciting?
Yes, they're very moving.
How many would you have attended over time?
Hundreds.
Hundreds. I want to say to those gathered here, there's no greater pleasure, apart from investitures, than for a Governor-General to officiate or even attend a citizenship ceremony, and you've been in charge of that program. Can you imagine how many thousands of Australians have been made Australians and very happy to be here during your time? You're still in an important area, but I think this is particularly recognising the way you steered the citizenship ceremonies to be what they are at the moment, a crowning moment for people who are just so happy to become Australians. Well done. Thank you.
Awarded the Public Service Medal, Mr Andrew Wood, for outstanding public service as Chief Operating Officer of the Australian Federal Police. Mr Wood joined the AFP in 2007 as Chief Operating Officer. Since that time, he's provided inspirational leadership in corporate governance, which has provided a solid foundation on which to base the AFP's operational success. Additionally, he's made a significant impact on the financial performance of the organisation and led substantial capital projects. Under Mr Wood's leadership, the AFP has been recognised with a variety of awards for its cultural diversity programs. His leadership and contributions have been exemplary. Mr Andrew Wood, awarded the Public Service Medal.
Hello, Andrew. Congratulations. This way. You joined the public service in 1982.
That's right, sir.
And you went to the Registry at Department of Social Security, as it was called then. It's been a long road, hasn't it?
It has been.
A happy road.
Very happy.
Well, the Federal Police are thrilled to have you, eh? You've sort of rejigged it and got them into a more efficient financial status. Well, that's fantastic. Well, that's why you're being recognised now. But I like to think we add on to that marvellous period of service as you rose up through the ranks. You are a proud representative of the Australian Public Service. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Awarded the Ambulance Service Medal, Mr Michael Abigail, for distinguished service to the ACT Ambulance Service. As an intensive care paramedic, Mr Abigail was part of the inaugural crew of the South Care Rescue Helicopter Service. He has subsequently been a mentor to new flight paramedics, taking on the role of Training and Development Officer for flight operations. More recently, he's acted as a frontline manager for the paramedics of the ACT Ambulance Service. Mr Abigail is a respected colleague and peer, a dedicated paramedic who has worked tirelessly for the past 28 years protecting the communities of the ACT and New South Wales. Mr Michael Abigail, awarded the Ambulance Service Medal.
Hello there. Come close. Thanks. There we go. Cheers. Stay. Here we go. You have the feel of a man who wants to run away, but I'm not letting you. Stand still. You started as a registered nurse in 1987 at Canberra Hospital.
Correct.
And then you moved to the ambulance service and you were in Cogra or somewhere like that.
Wagga initially.
Yeah. Did you do some time in Sydney?
Rockdale Hospital.
Rockdale, right. I thought I knew it was around there. Yeah, you're a St George supporter. Wagga, but then the 1998 to the Helicopter Rescue Service.
Correct, yes.
And I made a little note, hundreds of missions, hundreds of lives. Well done. Turn around, let them look at you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Awarded the Emergency Services Medal, Mr Matthew Butters, for distinguished service to the ACT State Emergency Service. Mr Butters has been a volunteer member of the ACT State Emergency Service since 2002. He's a highly skilled trainer and assessor and played a key role in established national training for storm and flood response, rescue and land search across the service. He has been deployed on multiple occasions to large incidents interstate and has represented the Territory in national rescue challenges on 4 occasions. Mr. Butters has continuously demonstrated his ability to effectively collaborate with and support his peers and members of the ACT community. Mr. Matthew Butters awarded the Emergency Services Medal.
Hello, Matthew. How are you?
Good yourself.
Good. There we go. Face this way. Now, you went and had a bit of a go at Brisbane floods, Cyclone Yasi.
Certainly did.
You've been doing your state emergency services training of people here. And if you would just turn around, I'll give you an Australian who looks after other Australians. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Awarded the Emergency Services Medal, Mr. John Steele. For distinguished service to Marine Rescue New South Wales. For more than 10 years, Mr. Steele has provided support to the volunteer marine rescue sector in the Monaro region, both in his role as Unit Commander Marine Rescue Eden and as a Search and Rescue Support Officer. His skill and professionalism enables him to take a leading role in emergency operations, working to assist in the coordination of multi-agency responses. Mr. Steele has given professional and committed service to the volunteer marine rescue sector in New South Wales for over a decade. Today, we recognise Mr. John Steele, awarded the Emergency Services Medal.
Hello, how are you? Congratulations. We'll look this way. You were in the Navy for a few years. How long?
22.
22. Oh, that gave you a fair grounding, hasn't it? Yeah. And now you're going down to the sea in ships again, little ships in this case.
Exactly.
But there at Eden, which is, of course, a crucial sort of point on the race that stops the nation on Boxing Day.
Exactly, yes,
Yeah.
it is. We do all the monitoring of the yachts as they come down the coast and go across Bass Strait.
Yeah. Now, do you see whales?
We're seeing lots of whales at the moment.
My wife's not happy because she's never seen a real whale in the wild. You see them all the time.
I see them on.
I'll have to
on
come and
duty,
visit you.
Please do.
I
anytime.
missed you when we were in Eden, I think. Did I not?
No.
No, we didn't see each other in Eden when I was down there earlier. But what you do, of course, is you allow Australians and our visitors to feel safe and feel that help is at hand when they exercise the great birthright of going to sea and taking their little vessels out, often unsafely. You're there to help them out. Congratulations and thank you for what you do.
Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the investiture ceremony. I now invite His Excellency to address us.
Thank you. Let me start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Ngunnawal people, and pay my respects to their elders past and present, and to elders from other communities who may be with us today. We've just at this ceremony recognised people who, through great determination and energy and commitment and through love, who've made an exceptional contribution to Australia. It's been a privilege to invest them, and I can see the pride on the faces of family and friends who are here. That's half the enjoyment for the Governor-General, is to stand there and see the wonderful faces of those being invested, but then to look out amongst you and to see the pride and joy on your faces. It's actually in the first rank of duties of a Governor-General, along with the opportunity to make new citizens from time to time. But here, let me offer the recipients my deepest congratulations and admiration and respect. This ceremony is here to acknowledge your sacrifices and the work you've done, and there's not been one jot of a thought in your mind of recognition or personal gain. You've done it because it was the right thing to do. We're all fortunate to benefit from the passion of those who have been acknowledged today, from your skills, your dedication, and thus it's fitting that you've been recognised by our honours system. Those honours, they do help to define and encourage and reinforce Australian goals and ideals. You've now been identified and sent forth, if you like, as role models, and you'll give the next generation something to aspire to. You join the company of men and women whose actions have enriched our community and our lives. Your commitment to excellence and to your fellow citizens is something that everybody should revere and admire. On behalf of all Australians, Lynn and I thank you for your contribution. You inspire and motivate all of us to do our very best and to continue any contribution we may make to our great nation. So we hope that you remember this day as a day when Australia said, thank you and well done. Congratulations.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, could I now invite the recipients to be escorted outside by our staff to the state entrance steps for an official photograph and to join their excellencies there. Would other guests please remain seated just for a few moments and then we'll invite you to refreshments. Thank you. Of course not, of course not.